Well, hi, I'm Rosebean and I like to draw, and today we'll be tackling the question of does Genshin have good character design? But before I can answer that question, we need to know what character design is. So I will explain what that is with this little speed paint of a Nefer redesign in the background for you. Character design is essentially the art of show, don't tell. It is showing this character and already knowing something about them by looking at them and without having to say a word. And character design, in my standards, could be put into three different categories: theme, color, and shape language. Not silhouette. I don't like silhouette. We're skipping silhouette. Now that we all know what character design is, or rather should be, we can properly say if Genshin has good character design or not. So, for the theme part of it, I asked two other people to look at four Genshin characters and tell me what they thought their theme was. This way, my personal bias and also knowledge of these characters won't get in the way of judging their themes. So, when I asked my two volunteers what Nicole reminded them of, they said they remind her of a fairy. She looks very angelic. She also reminds them of a warm breeze, and she gives very comforting vibes. When I asked about Lowen, they said he looks like a warrior, he looks like a fighter, he looks morally complex, and he looks very cold. Now, with Aoife, he has lots of gadgets. He looks like he could be a fixer. Somebody said he looks like he would be the boyfriend of Nicole. Very cute. He's very happy, but the best way I've ever heard him be described. He looks like he's in a fun way getting to a serious destination, and that pretty much sums him up. Finally, with Columbina, she looks very deceptive. She looks very independent. She has an ocean theme, and she looks like she's waiting for something. So, if you are a Genshin fan, you know that these are pretty accurate reads. So, as far as theme, Genshin does a pretty good job at that. Now, through my eyes as a fan of Genshin and a character designer, I will be pointing out the parts of their designs that go with theme, color, and shape language and see how well they are put together to create a good character design. I recorded most of these at separate times, so they're all going to sound a little bit different. Alright, so starting off with Kachina. So, what is her theme? Well, just from looking at these images, I'm going to guess she's probably working in excavation or mining because of the splash art. But then if I just look at her design, I do see a little band-aid, which makes me think childish. And then I also see this repeated triangle symbol, which makes me think of like danger and like warning signs. So that kind of works. Then what about the colors? The colors are very good. She has the blue in her eyes, but then she also has the blue in this eye motif here, same blue in her gloves and like these body patterns. So I think the colors work good. I would erase the like weird olivey green, but I do like the yellows and the browns. They work really well. And then with the shape language, again, very aggressive, very sharp, but except her ears definitely pull away from that. So I wish maybe her ears were a little bit sharper, even though she is like a chinchilla. And then, of course, like, see, we have cute little tail, cute little ears, but then we also, like, across everywhere else, we've got, like, ooh, triangle, triangle, triangle. And that really doesn't help. Maybe the ears are supposed to show that she's friendly, but the triangles show that she's, like, doing dangerous things, but other than that, I don't really see a need for the ears to be so round. Alright, now with Mavwika, so what is her theme? Well, just from looking at the background of her splash art, I see these guys, and I'm like, oh, are these her fallen comrades? They kind of look like spirits, but then she also seems very flamboyant because she's got like the motorcycle and she's got like the glasses in her hand, and then obviously she's got like a sun motif. You've got like this like sun motif here, and like on the bike too you can see these like aggressive warm shapes along with like the fiery reds. And then obviously with the color is very good with Mavwika. Like obviously you have like these I mean that. You got like these aggressive dark blacks, but then this like huge pop of red that fades into a lighter yellow, which is definitely giving fiery colors. And then she doesn't really have any actual like blue accents in her design, but there is like blue accents on the side of her splash art, which do look very cool. But then with the shape language is kind of bad because like I look at the top of her head and I see, oh, this is like a wick. So that does remind me of a flame, but then you don't see that like repeated anywhere else. You just see, oh, triangle, triangle, circle with spikes, long lines, more spikes, and just it doesn't really make sense. The shapes are all over the place and they're not giving me a read on what I think her character is about. Now, because of the controversy surrounding Sandrone's redesign, let's go look at her old design first. So, with the theme, you can see that she has these gear shapes on her outfit, which make me think mechanic. But the rest of her outfit, with like the gloves and the headdress, are giving very Victorian vibes. The color is very well done. She's got these big pops of yellow, these big pops of white on a black base with small red accents and blue eyes, which together they aren't really giving a certain thing that comes to mind. Like this color palette does not scream, oh, she looks like a thunderstorm. No, the colors are just there to look good, but she also looks very professional with them. But the shape language is where this design truly shines. The base of her outfit makes this teardrop shape, which is also on her shoes, and also an upside down teardrop on the base of her neck. And then she has these little heart shapes with a teardrop above it. Now, also, she has more teardrops in her headdress, and her eyes even look kind of sad and almost droopy. This design is giving a very chill but darker sort of design. I can't really put words into it. It's so interesting to look at. Now let's compare that to her redesign that everybody hates. So, unobjectively, if I take a look and try to analyze the theme, I see this little wind-up crank on her back. That's very interesting. And then I see this headdress, which makes me, again, think of like a Victorian maid. And then I also see this sort of white piece in the front, and that makes me think of an apron. And then, if we move on to color, the red is super aggressive along with the black. And then we have the white from the tights, and then a little tiny pop of yellow and a little bit of blue in her eyes and in the little wind-up part. And then with her hair, I like how her hair is very muted compared to the rest of her palette. It makes it almost stand out more than a bright color would. And then with shape language is still a little bit all over the place because, again, we have like the aggressive sort of diamond shapes, but then we also have these teardrop shapes, which I wish were more emphasized. And then the shape of her heel makes me think that she's not doing much, and like she's just gonna walk around really loud to make you know that she's there. I don't really get anything from the heels, and I think they're kind of pointless, but they do look good. Now that's just how I, a artist and character designer myself, would analyze these character designs. But there's still one really big problem that is very heavily addressed in the Genshin community, which can be quite controversial at times, and that is the statement that they don't look like the culture they're based off of, or that is offensive to the original culture they're based off of. Now, I feel like it is not my place at all to talk about characters who are based off, say, Japanese culture, because I am not Japanese. But when Snezhnaya comes out, I will have some stronger opinions because I am of Russian heritage. But for now, yes, Genshin does not always show their cultures correctly, is how I'll phrase it. Another factor that we have to consider is that Genshin is a gacha game, which means they make money off of you getting the characters, or rather spending money on these characters, so they want to make these characters look as appealing as they possibly can. And again, cultures get swept under the rug because of them wanting to make the character look good. But after all that, I have to say, yes, Genshin does have good character design. I feel like you can get a pretty good read of the characters just by looking at them, and if you don't, well, that's usually juxtaposition that is supposed to be there and is a good part of character design. But what do you guys think? Tell me in the comments if you think Genshin has good character design, and if not, why? And some of you might even be like, well, if Genshin has good character design, then why are you redesigning Nefer? Well, because I wanted to, and yes, a lot of people don't particularly like her design, so I thought I would just do an example of what could have been. But regardless, here is the final Nefer redesign. Stay safe, drink water, and thanks for watching.